How you doing everyone? Scott here, and for once I'm not back with a vinyl update. I am back with some albums that might surprise you, because they are not metal albums, they are not hard rock albums. I thought I'd go through some records that I have that don't fall into that genre. I've not been buying much stuff over the last couple of weeks. I do have a holiday coming up in February, mid-February, so I've kind of reined it in a little bit. But yeah, I thought I'd take this chance to go through, especially for the channels that aren't heavily into metal, just kind of show you like a range of albums that I do own that aren't heavy metal. I wish I could be one of those guys that kind of goes out and buys all the albums like the world music and the blues and jazz and soul and all that stuff, but that stuff just isn't for me, and there's no point in having a huge collection when you don't listen to half of it. So what I'm going to do, I'll go through some of these albums, hopefully tell some stories along the way with the albums, and you can see what you think. I'm sure you will be surprised by some of these. So I'll start off with this one from 1987. This was the first album I ever bought with my own money, and it is The King of Pop, Michael Jackson and Bad. I absolutely love this album. Say what you want about Michael Jackson, he's weird, he does weird stuff with monkeys and has a zoo, and was in a world of his own, but there's no denying that he came out with some absolutely tremendous music. I always hear the toss-up between Thriller and Off the Wall for his best album, but for me this is gold. The perfect album in my opinion. So this takes me back to when I was about 8 or 9, maybe 10, and I bought, in fact no, I didn't buy it, I actually used to go to a childminder after school because my mum used to work, and one of the other boys that used to get looked after brought in the film Dangerous with the Michael Jackson music videos and all this kind of stuff, and I just thought, holy shit, who is this guy? Absolutely awesome entertainer, and I think that's what kind of is still in me to this day. I always love bands that have great stage shows, or kind of like just larger than life, and Michael Jackson was certainly this for me when I was that age. I thought he was just amazing. And this takes me back to when I first bought the album. It was on CD, and it was the first CD I ever sat down, put the CD on, and took the booklet out and just read the lyrics along with the songs, and I've always had a copy of this ever since. It's just an amazing album, with the likes of title track, Bad, Smooth Criminal, which was actually meant to be the original name of the album, Leave Me Alone, Man in the Mirror, just some absolutely awesome tracks. So that is Michael Jackson and Bad, just awesome. Next one is a soundtrack, and this takes me back to about the same time, about 9 or 10, and this is Rocky IV. So Rocky IV came out, I think, a year before I was born, so I wasn't exactly around to see it when it first came out, but with the Rocky films I just loved them, especially Rocky III and Rocky IV. When I was that age, I was a bit young to appreciate the first two Rocky films. They were more independent films or art house films compared to the kind of Hollywood cheesy action that's in the third, fourth and fifth one. But I remember sitting, it was a Sunday night, and I still remember this to this day. I used to have bunk beds, and I was sitting on the bottom bunk, and I used to have a really small portable TV in my room with the wee wire antenna at the top to pick up the great reception, and I knew this was on, and I switched all the lights off. I had school in the morning. I thought, if Mum catches me watching this at this time, she's going to hit the roof. So I sat on the edge of my bed with the TV right in front of me, the volume right down, and just sat and watched whatever, if it was Rocky 3, Rocky 4, Rocky 5, whatever. I used to just sit and just watch it intently, and then I used to go to sleep. But I just always loved the music in this as well. Especially Rocky 3, Rocky 4, that's when you get the Eye of the Tiger, Hearts on Fire, No Easy Way Out, just some, even the instrumentals. On Rocky 4 you do have War, which is the instrumental in the last fight, which is just a really great piece of music as well. Almost classical stroke 80s pop, you know, that kind of just cheesy, he was losing, now he's going to fight back and win. So this reminds me of Commando, Rambo, Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, all these amazing action films that I still love to this day. So it's not just the music I love, it's the films as well. So that is the Rocky 4 soundtrack. Next up is a bit of hip hop. I do own some hip hop albums. When I was around 13 to, well, round about early 20s, I used to listen to a lot of hip hop. I don't do so anymore. The new stuff's absolutely crap. I like all the older stuff like Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, the old Snoop Dogg stuff. But this is NWA, and it's Straight Outta Compton, their first album. And just some amazing tracks on this. It kind of, I mean, I'm not from America, I'm not from the ghetto, but I can still appreciate this awesome music and what these guys did. They were just like so poor, so impoverished, but they made this absolute masterpiece. And now, I mean, look at them now, they've just had their film out, and it's just absolutely amazing. I mean, on this you've got the likes of Gangsta Gangsta, obviously the title track, Straight Outta Compton, you have Express Yourself. It's just a classic hip hop album. This takes me back to when I used to wear the backwards baseball caps, I used to wear the baggy jeans. And I'm from a small town called Linlithgow. It's about 10-15 miles from Edinburgh, where I am now. And this takes me back to like summer days. We've got, if you've ever seen Outlander, if you've ever seen the new film with Chris Pine, Outlaw King, and the new Mary Queen of Scots film. Mary Queen of Scots was actually born in Linlithgow Palace and lived there. And you also have Outlaw King with Chris Pine. Part of the film was filmed in Linlithgow at Linlithgow Palace. In fact, I'll put some photos up for you as well. And the programme Outlander is filmed around Linlithgow as well at some points. So this actually reminds me, I know this has got nothing to do with American hip hop, but this used to remind me of, there's at Linlithgow Palace, it's now open to the public, and there's massive grounds where there's like loads of grass, hills, trees, and people just go there on a summer's day. They can have a drink, they can have a picnic and all that. So we and my mates used to go down there with a portable CD player and some speakers and just blast stuff like NWA, Dr. Dre, the early Eminem stuff, all that kind of stuff. And this really takes me back. And I just still to this day love this album. It's still on my iPod, still listen to it, just awesome. So yeah, that must have been about 16, 17 years ago now. But still absolutely love it. So that is for some of you hip hop fans out there. Next up, in fact the next couple of bands are actually bands that I discovered when I was with my ex-girlfriend. She really liked this band, or these two bands, and I just thought at the time I was quite into hip hop. I thought, what? But the more you get exposed to something, the more you kind of absorb it and take it in and think, you know what, this is actually really good. And the first one is Supertramp, Breakfast in America. Now I started listening to Supertramp, I had their anthology CD, and it was amazing for me. I didn't know how many Supertramp songs I actually knew, until you sit down and listen to the CDs and you think, oh right, that's Supertramp. But this is an absolute classic. It has a Breakfast in America, Take the Long Way Home. I think this has, Don't Leave Me Now. I don't know if this is actually on. Goodbye Stranger, The Logical Song, Gone Hollywood. In fact, no, it doesn't have Don't Leave Me Now, which is an absolutely fantastic song. But yeah, this is just absolutely filled with classics, and I'll be looking out for more Supertramp. I don't have enough Supertramp, so that is the first one recommended by my ex. And the next band, I'm going to show 3 records of this band, and it's Doctor Hook. This is a little bit more. I think this is their maybe 2nd or 3rd album. Again, got into Doctor Hook through my ex. She had the greatest hits. I actually had the greatest hits on CD as well. I think I kept it. But I just love the mix of just really great musicianship, catchy songs, some serious, some really not so serious, and I think that's why I love them. They don't take themselves too seriously. On this you've got a little bit more. I think that's probably the one song on this album that most people would know. Next one is Sometimes You Win, and I can't remember what songs are on this. On this you have Sexy Eyes, you'll know that one. When You're in Love with a Beautiful Woman, that's probably one of their most famous songs. They're the 2 kind of big hits off that. But you've got songs even like I'm a Millionaire, absolutely brilliant song. Everybody's Making It Big But Me. Cover of the Rolling Stone is an absolutely amazing song. And they're kind of like those kind of light-hearted, jokey songs, but they're you get drawn in. They're like a story, and you still get drawn in and listen to them, although they're like quite funny. So, what's the last one? I have Doctor Hook and The Medicine Show, the ballad of... Oh, what's her name again? The ballad of Lucy Jordan. That's it. So this is kind of like just a compilation album of different songs. So, these are so cheap to pick up as well. So whenever I see a Doctor Hook, I'm always picking these up. So yeah, they've just got some just great songs, and like I said, when I first heard them I thought, like, why were I listening to this? But the more and more you get exposed to different songs, you just think, that's just grown on me and grown on me and grown on me. So just one of those things. Next up is from Kansas, and this is 1983's Drastic Measures. I mean, I first heard Kansas, I think it was Carry On My Wayward Son. I mean, that's probably their most famous hit. Well, that's the one I know the best from Kansas, but they've got some tremendous tracks. This isn't really known to be their best album, but it does have my favourite Kansas song on it, and that's Fight Fire with Fire, which is kind of verging on the hard rock genre, but I wouldn't say Kansas were a hard rock band. They're verging like a classic rock band, I suppose, but I mean, that's a pretty good cover as well, with the bazooka or whatever that is. But yeah, love a bit of Kansas as well. So that is Drastic Measures. Now, one that might really surprise you is Elton John, and this is Too Low for Zero. Elton John was always played in my house when I was wee. My mum, massive Elton John fan, she actually had to miss an Elton John concert because she was ready to pop with me. They had tickets all booked. I don't really know why she booked the tickets, if she thought like she's days away from giving birth, but yeah, she didn't quite fancy giving birth at an Elton John concert, so she didn't. But yeah, anyway, enough about my birth. Really great album. This was kind of known to be his comeback album. This is the first album for a few years that Bernie Taupin wrote all the lyrics. Probably the best setup that they two had. But this has songs like I'm Still Standing, which I love as an Elton John song. I guess that's why they call it the blues. One More Arrow. I mean, I need to pick up more Elton John as well. There's many Elton John songs that I really love, so I think I'd probably pick up his later stuff first and then maybe work backwards. But yeah, Elton John, absolute amazing songwriter, and the duo between him and Bernie Taupin it's one of the best. So that is Elton John. The next one, I'll probably just show this one. This is rock, but it's not heavy metal. It's not really hard rock, but it's Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms. Absolutely, sorry, absolutely great album. The first Dire Straits song I ever heard, and it was live. It was a live clip, I think, was Sultans of Swing, and to this day, Sultans of Swing is one of my favourite songs. It's just a song I never get tired of, although I've heard it hundreds and hundreds of times. I never get tired of it, and I always get that, oh yes, if I ever hear it on the radio, oh yes, I love this song. It's never like, oh, switch that radio off, it's boring. I'm never like that with Dire Straits. I mean, some of them you can do without. Walk of Life, I could probably do without. But the songs Brothers in Arms is an amazing song. Money for Nothing as well. Just a really great album. Mark Knopfler's an absolutely tremendous songwriter and guitarist, so you can't really go wrong with Dire Straits. So that is Brothers in Arms. And the last three I'm going to show, I picked these up all at the same time, really cheap, and I'm a bit of a casual fan of this artist. I wouldn't say, oh, I love his music and all this, but I do. If they're cheap enough, I'll pick up his albums, and that is Johnny Cash. So the first one is Johnny Cash at San Quentin. I would love to pick up at Folsom, and I just love these albums in the back. But yeah, I just love his voice. I mean, that's what I really like about Johnny Cash. And it's just so simple. It's nothing too over exaggerated. It's just him, guitar, great songs, boom, there you go. Also have the great Johnny Cash, and the original Golden Hits Volume 1. So, I mean, you find these so cheap. I think in my local shop, these are going for like £2, £3, £4. So I always just chuck some Johnny Cash in when I can. So there we have it. That is a selection of albums that are not metal. So hopefully whoever's tuning in that isn't the biggest metal fan can kind of appreciate some of the stuff that I go through, that I listen to, that's not hard rock or metal. And I think from now on I should really just start adding everything in. Like if I buy non-metal stuff, I should really just show it, because I don't really show the non-metal stuff when I buy it. So yeah, so guys, let me know what you think. I know it's not the usual for the metal fans and people who subscribe to me and watch regularly. Sorry if this is a bit disappointing, but that is a kind of a selection of other albums. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers guys.